On Thursday, the 29th of November, in the year 2012, I arrived in Hanoi of Vietnam, Southeast Asia. Hanoi is in the northern part of Vietnam, at the top. Vietnam is kind of looks like a sock, like California. California is a state in the United States of America, in North America, above South America, and Brazil, and Central America, and Mexico, and below Canada and the North Pole, and Santa Claus. You know Santa Claus from Christmas. So I land in Hanoi, and I go to Bach to teach English at a New Star, and they don't actually keep me, and they don't think I'm really good at English. But I was there for 5 days teaching English to the kids at the New Star. Then I was working and living at a restaurant at Papa Foods and looking for work, and then I was looking for work and actually teaching English to people here and there in Bach, which is like 20 kilometers from Hanoi. Then I was going to Hanoi, and I was there for 2 weeks, staying with two brothers at their house and teaching them more English and their friends, like college students, English. And then I went to Woburn, Providence, teaching them English at a museum, the Hmong Museum Phillies, and just teaching the staff there English for about 5 days until the leader there, the guy in charge, the owner, like, he says, "Oh, I don't think you're good at teaching, you don't know how to do it." So I left and went with a friend for the Tet holiday to, where did I go? To their hometown, her hometown, a few hours away. And then we went to another city too, to visit a school and teach English there for a day. And we went to the beach somewhere in northern Vietnam. And then on the 10th of February 2013, I hopped on a plane in Hanoi, went to Saigon to look for work, and then I started finding some work and teaching English, and I'm still here. And as I've been here in Vietnam, as I've been here for the last 8 months, I run into people. They ask me, "Where are you from?" I say, "Nuke me." I say, "Nuke, nuke me," which means I am from the United States of America, USA, USA. And then they say Obama, and Obama is really good, or they say Obama good, or something like that. Like, they really like Obama, and some people do like Obama all around the world. I say no. Obama looks really cool, and he acts really cool, and he dresses really cool and exciting, and I like Barack Obama as a person. He has 2 beautiful daughters, he has a beautiful wife, he's a really cool person, and the way he walks and talks and presents himself, and it's a lot cooler than all the presidents before him in the United States. All the other 44 or so 44 previous presidents or so, 44 or so. Well, not exactly 44, since some of the presidents had double or triple terms where they're the president like 2 times or 3 times in a row, or a president, and maybe one president is like a president for 4 years, and then like in 4 8 years or so, like, he comes back and he's the president for another 4 years or something. And so you kind of don't exactly have 44 or so presidents, I think. But nonetheless, Barack Obama is the coolest president we've ever had out of all the previous presidents. Some of them come really close. I'm a fan of George W. Bush Jr. even though a lot of people say horrible things about him, like, oh, he's a monkey and he slips on his words and he says dumb things and he does horrible things, and he started the war after 9/11 with Iraq and with terrorists in Afghanistan and Pakistan and, the Middle East in general, and he shouldn't have done it. And I like to say, what would you do if you were in his footsteps, kind of thing, and things are not that simple to explain, and everybody has problems, everybody makes mistakes, and I'm sure he did make mistakes at times, but not exactly as you think, and not to the full extent as you may think, and it's a long story, and a longer story than you can imagine or may know, and so be careful what you say when you say, oh, I think I totally understand these situations and I understand these people. Like, oh, I understand George W. Bush Jr. and I think he's a horrible person because of that's what everybody tells me, and I'm gonna believe whatever people tell me, kind of thing. And you could do that if you want. If you want to go with the flow and status quo and be normal like that and just do whatever everybody tells you to do, you can. I like to think a little bit more and to choose what I want to think instead of letting other people tell me what to think. I don't want to be a robot, a clone, a puppet like that. But most people are, and we usually are at times. All of us, even me. We make mistakes and we just do what other people tell us to do, or we think like other people, and especially when we don't want other people to laugh at us. And when we see something that's really cool, we get excited. And so when we see Barack Obama as a president, or before he was the president, we get excited. And even like a lot of different celebrities, they were supporting him, and he had that message of it's time for change, and yes we can, like Bob the Builder, yes we can make change for the better, and we can make history too by electing the first black African American president. Or is he really African president? Maybe he's like an Indian African American president, or Indian American president, since he was not born in America. Or I strongly think he was not born in America because he never really showed his actual birth certificate. He's a really cool guy, and people are gonna think that he's a really cool guy, and you will see him on Late Night with Jay Leno, or Conan, or David Letterman, or Jimmy Kimmel, or all these different late night shows, or daytime shows, or talk show hosts. Maybe not talk show like daytime. Like I don't think he's ever been on Jerry Springer or Montel or Tyra Banks. Those there's certain shows that Obama's probably never been on, but there's a lot of the typical shows that he's on late at night or in the morning or maybe in the afternoon, and you see him, he presents himself very well and dresses very well. He says really cool things, and he tries not to go into the details too much. He tries to smile, he tries to sympathize and empathizes with you to an extent, and you see him, and you think he's really cool, and you'll see him play basketball. With I am a big fan of basketball, and I've always wanted to be tall, black, and in the NBA. So 1/3 of me wanted to be like Obama, since Obama is black, but maybe 2/3 since he likes basketball too. But he's not in the NBA, but he plays basketball. Tall, maybe tall, so I wanted to be completely like Barack Obama before I even knew about him, since I was like 8 years old, back when I wanted to be Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan, Michael Kurtz and Michael Collins and Mikey from the Life cereal commercials, and every single Michael you can think of. This anybody with the name Michael, and I wanted to be, like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. I wanna be Mike. Do you wanna be like Mike? Fly to the high, flying through the air, making slam dunks, being really good at basketball, and singing and dancing like Michael Jackson, and all these different things, and I started thinking about these things, and started thinking about wanting to help other people and being really cool, and especially after I was in homeschool, I went to public high school for the first time, and I started seeing people, and I wanted to dress really cool and act really cool and talk really good, just like Barack Obama. He comes out of nowhere, and he's talking really well and acting really well and dressing really well and all these things really well, and he's doing all these things that I wanted to do, especially when I was in high school. I wanted to do those things which Obama does really well. So in a way, I wanted to be just like him. But at the same time, I do not like Obama. I like him as a person, but I do not like what he's doing to the United States of America, trying to tear it apart, where he's like subconsciously taking away our freedoms and rights and our guns and our health care. Even though he says, well, universal Obamacare health care thing is going to be better and it's going to be kind of like Canada, but there's problems when you have these certain things. It's kind of hard to explain right away, but I'm trying to say that there's problems. Like, I don't know how to say this, but I feel, based off a lot of different things I've heard, that the United States is falling apart, that it's losing freedoms and rights in the things that they're allowed to do, the details with like the banks and taxes and houses and the different rules about what you're allowed to do in different situations involving freedoms, rights, guns, what you're allowed to own, what you're allowed to buy, and what you're allowed to do. Certain things and rules and laws and regulations and things that are coming up every single day. Things come out of nowhere, and then like a lot of times you have like people like the Republicans, and they're kind of like preventing a lot of bills from becoming law in the House or in the Senate in Washington D.C., the capital of the United States. Like, and then there's a lot of jokes in the mass media on the news where they say the Republicans are ruining us and keeping us from, you know, getting anything from happening. And that may be true, that there are bad things about the Republicans, but at the same time, I believe the Republicans are trying to save us from the Democrats, and especially from Obama, who should be in peace and who is not qualified to be the president because he wasn't actually born in America. And there's a lot of different details about the things that he's doing, and there are these banks that are in control of America and other countries, and they're preparing for the New World Order. The New World Order, that's NWO. Basically, where you have one government that rules the whole entire world, and they're working on that, and they have a really big computer like in Europe that keeps track of everybody and everything that they do. Kind of like from the TV show Person of Interest. In that show, they have this computer in America, and it keeps track of everybody, and something that one of the guys invented and started building, and there are these problems with it, or they really want to use it so that they can like stop things from happening, bad things from happening with bad people, and the computer is really smart with keeping track of everybody and tries to predict behavior from people, and it can to an extent. Some of these things are kind of dangerous, especially when you invade people's privacy, when you're reading people's emails and stuff, and I believe that there are really big supercomputers in different places in the world, like Europe, that are there to keep track of everybody in the world, and to prepare for the New World Order, where you have one government and 10 different main states or areas of the world, where America would be one state and there would be 10 other, you like to split the world into 10 parts, even though there's a bunch of countries. Just split it into 10 main areas, but one government to rule them all, one ring to rule them all, from the Lord of the Rings, until you drop the ring into the volcano mountain, into the lava where it was actually made from, and end this chaos and problems. And I'm trying to tell you two things in this video, in this review, of where I talk about a person in each video. And in my first video, I talk about Will Smith. In the second video here, I'm talking about Barack Obama. And I'm trying just to say two things about him, and that's it. Number one, he's cool. Number two, he's not cool. He's really cool in the way that he talks and walks and acts, and his presentation, his demeanor. He's a really cool person to hang out with, and just the way he presents himself, the way he does things. Not exactly in what he does, but in how he does it. It's really cool. What he does may be bad, but how he does it is really exciting, really cool, like a cool rapper or actor or Will Smith, something cool like that. So number one, he's cool because he looks cool. But number two, he's not cool because he's not actually cool. He just looks cool, but in the different things he does, he's destroying the United States, in my opinion. I understand that a lot of people are like, no, he's not. He's making things better. He did this, and he captured Osama bin Laden. But I don't really know if he actually captured Osama bin Laden. Number one, Osama bin Laden may be still out there. But then again, most likely not, because number two, Osama bin Laden may have died shortly after 9/11, or may have died before that, because they just discover the tapes. Why are they discovering tapes of a guy who's alive? Like, oh, we discovered another tape of Osama bin Laden, and we're gonna show you this. Why are you showing me these tapes? Are you trying to say that maybe he's dead now, in around 9/11, or before it happens, or shortly after it happens, that he's already dead because he kind of is already pretty old with a gray or white beard, like Gandalf the Great from the Lord of the Rings, like an old wizard with a gray or white beard, like he's so old, and like Santa Claus, and maybe he has bad health, like, and he's sending tapes to us, or we're discovering the tapes, but we're not discovering him? Are you serious? Maybe there's more to the story that we don't really know. You have all these different things, and sometimes you turn on the news and you see something like, oh, it's the Boston bombing that happened earlier in the year 2013, like around April or so. And you're like, oh no, this is really bad. But then you forget that they're not telling you everything. Like, they're distracting you from other things that are happening at the same time. They don't want you to focus on the real stories and the real problems that are happening. So they fabricate stories and things that didn't really happen to make you think, oh, this horrible disaster happened, but really it wasn't really a disaster. It didn't really happen. It was made up, and they had actors, or somehow they got people to do certain things, and it looked like a problem, but it really wasn't. But it was there as a cover, so that we would not focus on the actual stories and problems that were happening in the same time. And sometimes throughout the course of history, these things are happening in America and in other countries. That's around the world. These things happen, and it's the thing that people that have power do, so that they maintain their power, increase the fear of the common people, so that they don't rise up, stand up for what is right, like a sit-in, like Rosa Parks, that we don't say things like Martin Luther King Jr. says, like, I have a dream, let's make things better. You don't do things like Robin Hood and take from the rich and give back to the poor, which some people would say, oh, Robin Hood, he's a stealer, but really, he was making things better. Barack Obama would say, well, Robin Hood, he was redistributing the wealth. And people think about that idea, and first people are like, yeah, I like the idea of Obamacare, and I want universal health care like Canada has. There may be problems with the health care in Canada. Some people say, oh no, it's fine, but other people say, I still have to like pay money, or it takes months before I actually get help, that I actually get an appointment with a doctor or go to the hospital. I have to wait like weeks or days or months or years. There's all these waiting lists, and I've heard both sides. Basically some people say healthcare, the universal healthcare is good, in Canada, and others say no, it's not. So it kind of goes back and forth. So what is really true? But you have people who says, I really like Obama because I like the universal health care. I like the Obamacare. And number two, I like the fact that he killed Osama bin Laden. So he's good. He cares about us, and he was finally able to kill this horrible bad guy that George W. Bush Jr. did not kill. Even though, Saddam Hussein was killed, and you were able to actually see him in the trials, and you were actually able to see him get hanged, which they don't actually show Osama bin Laden get killed. And I wonder why. Maybe because he was already dead, or he was never killed to begin with, or something, or killed by somebody else, or he's still alive, or he was killed before 9/11 or around that time, so they didn't actually kill him when they said he killed him, which is around what year was it, like 2010 or something, around that time when they said they killed Osama bin Laden. But there's something fishy about that. So what really happened, I don't really know. So there's different things that people like about Obama, but that doesn't necessarily make Obama a great guy. It's more of a delusion. And so even though you have those things, you also have the other side where you see Osama bin Laden doing things. Did I say Osama bin Laden? You know, Barack Obama's, his middle name is Hussein. Hussein. Like Saddam Hussein, the same name. Barack Hussein Obama. Some people say, oh yeah, because of that, he's automatically a bad person. Not really, because your name does not make you a good or bad person. I mean, it kind of affects it in the way that you act. You may feel better or worse depending on the name that you have. But that doesn't automatically make you a good or bad person. It just has to do with just your name. But what kind of person you are is up to you ultimately, and not any excuses or reasons that you can come up with, like, oh, my name, or the way I was raised. It's the big debate of the nature versus nurture. What is more important? Is the way you're born, you're automatically a certain kind of person because of the way you're born, your genetics, your mother and father, just, how strong you are with your body, your physical body, your genetics, your DNA, things like that. Is it just the nature, the natural nature of who you are physically, and you're born, and you'll be the kind of person that whatever's like inside your head, your mind, your heart, your soul, and your body, of how strong you are genetically, and maybe your emotions too, and you'll just go off and do whatever that your body is going to do, and that you don't really have any say in it. You're just like a robot or a slave or a puppet servant or something. You're going to be whatever that nature says, that Mother Nature, Mother Earth says you're going to be based off of your DNA. Some people say, yeah, you will be whatever nature says you will be based on your DNA and things like that. But then other people say, no, you will be based off your nurture, of the way you were raised, your parents, your environment, of what kind of house you had, the good and bad things about the house, whether or not it has violence, like from your father, like verbal abuse, physical abuse, different problems, dysfunctional families, problems like if you get bullied or just hassled from your family, friends, other people, or from at school or work or at the park or at home or outside or wherever you are. Everything affects you in a way of while you're being nurtured. With you're nurtured more when you're younger, because you're more helpless and dependent and less independent. You need other people more, so you're nurtured more. Like they stick a bottle of milk in your mouth, and you're being nurtured, you're being fed, you're being taken care of, and it affects who you are to an extent. And some people say that's what makes you who you are ultimately, and not the way you're born and what kind of DNA you have. And if you were to ask me, which one do you go with? Do you go with both? Do you go with nature or nurture? Which one decides what kind of person somebody's going to be? And I say, I want a third option, and that is free will, freedom, your choice. You decide ultimately what you will do. The way you were raised, the nurturing affects you to an extent, and your DNA, the nature of who you are as a person, and how strong you are or how strong you're not, and how smart you are or how smart you're not, and all the different things of who you are physically affects who you are too, but ultimately it's your choice what kind of person you're going to be. And you can listen to the nature and listen to the nurture and let those things affect you, but ultimately it's your choice what kind of person you're going to be. And that is very important to remember. Do not blame it on nature. Do not blame it on nurture. You are who you are. And we all have that choice to decide what kind of person we want to be. And Barack Obama decided over the course of his life what kind of person he wants to be. And in a way, he wants to be, a person that looks really good and people are going to like him. And he looks like he's trying to help people. But what is he really trying to do? And if you read between the lines and look at the things that he does and the things that he doesn't do and the things he says and the things he doesn't say and the things he shows you and the things he doesn't show you, and you start to study him, you may begin to think about these things more than you've done before, and to think about these things in different ways than you've done before, and you may be enlightened, and a light bulb may pop up above your head. A light bulb may pop up above your head, and you may go, haha, you may have an aha moment, and you may start thinking about this, and you may come to my side. If you're not on my side, and you do like Obama, someday you may not, and you may see things from my eyes, from my point of view, my 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 shoes. Step in my shoes and start to see things from where I am, from all the different things I've heard. And you should think about it. So I'm still trying to tell you only two things. Barack Obama is, number one, really cool, and number two, not really cool because of the things he does. He's cool. Number one, he's cool. Barack Obama, let me tell you, number one, Barack Obama is really cool because he looks cool. And number two, Barack Obama is not cool because he is not actually cool. Deep inside his heart and the things he's actually doing, he may be doing things in a cool way, but he's not doing cool things. That's what I believe, based off a lot of different things and factors. And I could talk for hours about him possibly, and about how I think America's falling apart based off a lot of different things that are happening over the last 50 years or possibly 100 years or more than 100 years. The United States have been falling apart, and certain things and people have been controlling the United States and other countries and leading us towards a path of destruction, like Titanic. With, in the Titanic, the pilot, the ship captain, the person steering and in charge of where Titanic goes through the ocean, in the cruise, how fast, where, the path, the roads it goes in the ocean, and all those details. The guy in charge of the Titanic boat ship in 1916 or so, he had 23 years of experience, about 23 years. That's more than 2 decades of experience in those exact waters and oceans of where they were, with boats and ships. He had tons of experience. He was a definite, efficient veteran with experience as a captain in the water. He knew what to do. He knew exactly what to do, all the details. And he's piloting the Titanic. And for hours, people tell him slow down and do not go over there because there are icebergs there that will crack the Titanic and make the Titanic crash to the bottom of the ocean floor. It will happen. And the captain knew that because the captain's been in the water, been in the oceans, been in that area many times for over 2 decades. And more than that, because he did other things before that, and he's been in the water before he was a captain, and he's been a captain for the last over 2 decades, like 23 years, and so he knew that there was icebergs, and he knew he was going too fast, and people were telling him on and on to slow down. He did not need the warnings. He did not need other people to tell him to slow down. He knew better. He knew to slow down, but he did not slow down. He kept on going, and going faster than normal, going faster than Titanic is supposed to go. Titanic was going too fast. And then it crashed, and crashed to the bottom of the ocean, and only some people escaped. Never let go. Never let go. But then Jack froze to death, and she had to let go. And then later on, she's an old lady, and she drops the necklace down to the bottom of the ocean. And then you see a music video with Britney Spears, and she says, "Oops, I did it again." And then in the middle of the music video, she's like, "But I thought the old lady dropped it down in the ocean." And the astronaut guy, he says, "Oh, I went back down and got it." "Oh, you shouldn't have." "Oops, I did it again to your heart. Got lost in a game of baby. Who am I to know any better, except maybe I shouldn't have crashed the boat into the ocean, except like the Illuminati, and or the Jesuit Order, or these different people in power told me to do this because we needed to kill certain rich people that were getting in the way of our plans." And nobody would expect that this was a murder, that we were murdering these people, because it just looks like the boat accidentally crashed into some icebergs and crashed. But it wasn't actually an accident, because the captain knew better and went too fast and went right into the icebergs, which he knew were there, because he knew there was icebergs in this area of the ocean. But he crashed it and murdered all those people. Why? I'm not exactly sure. I just know that those people had a lot of money, and they were against some of the things that the other people wanted to do. That has to do with like the things they wanted to do with like these certain banks and other things that I'm not totally aware of. What's the story, Wishbone? What's the story, Wishbone? I think I'm gonna crash a boat into some iceberg, make the people die, because I was told to. And at the end, in the last few hours, as the Titanic was sinking, it seems, people said, it seems that captain who was making the boat go too fast and go into the iceberg to sink, it seems that in those last few hours that he was hesitant and maybe too patient, that he was waiting, that he wasn't making decisions on his toes, on his feet, and that he wasn't really sure what to do when people were saying, "Oh, shouldn't we do this? Shouldn't we do that? Shouldn't we let loose the lifeboats and let the people in so that we can escape?" And he may not have given a clear answer right away, but then later maybe he started thinking about an answer in what to do. But then they didn't really like put a lot of people in all the lifeboats right away, and there were all these different problems that were happening, and the ship was going down, and they say the captain goes down with the ship, the captain goes down with the boat, and at least in the movie that's what they show happened. So I don't think he actually survived, but it's kind of hard. Like, if somebody tells you to sink your own boat, would you really do that and then die in it? What would you do? Somebody sticks a gun to your head and say, you gotta do this. Do you do it? At the bottom of your heart, would you do it? Or would you have to integrity and walk away? Or maybe you're scared to death because, like, these people are, like, more scarier than the mafia. These people that told the captain to do what he did are more scarier than the mafia, possibly. And we're talking about the Illuminati and the Jesuit Order and all these people that we don't really know a lot about, because if you ask people, they would say, what, there's no such thing as Santa Claus or M&Ms or Illuminati or the Jesuit Order or this or that. And that's exactly what they want. The Illuminati and the Jesuit Order and all these different things and people and groups and organizations, they want you to think that they're not real, because that helps them stay in power and helps them do what they do, as long as people do not know that they're real. That's kind of unfortunate, but what are you going to do? I know Obama is helping them. Whether Obama knows that he's helping them or not, he is helping them. Obama's a cool guy, but he's eating my piece of the pie, and he's eating my cake, and it's my birthday. Makes me sad because I wanted to make a wish, but I have no candles, because he blew out the candles, so I can't make a wish, and he's eating my cake. So, I think Barack Obama's my brother, and we're brothers of another mother, and I would love to play basketball with him, since we're both so black. My skin is not black, but I have black blood, and I'm tall, and I can feel it, I can dig it. Yo mama, what's up? Down in the hood. Yo homie, what's up? Freddie Cole's image, what's up? You know that me and Obama are tight, he's cool, but he's working on the wrong side and helping the wrong people. What do you think about Barack Obama? Let me know. You can email me at originaloatmeal@gmail.com. You can like me and subscribe to me. You can especially leave me comments below. Tell me everything you think about Barack Obama and Titanic and Britney Spears and the Illuminati and the Jesuit Order and the New World Order, and is America falling apart, or is it getting better? How do you compare the United States with other countries? Who is better than who, and with what? Maybe America is better with this and not better with that, and maybe another country is better with this and not better with that, or maybe America is completely better in every single way than other countries. But is America falling apart, and it's just slowly going downhill and declining in stocks and other things? And what do you think about Barack Obama and his family? And is he cool? Does he look cool in the way he talks and acts and reacts and proacts and everything else? And what do you think about the different things he does as a president and as a person, as a leader around the world and in America? Are you happy? Are you disappointed? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And why do cats have only 9 lives?